Good morning. This is Tuesday, October 27th, the Loving What Separates Us course, and part of my own personal mission of healing the heart of America. So everything is recorded. You can access them either through I Am Heart, which is definitely sponsoring this class now, or you can go to my website, healingtheheartofamerica.org. But I thought today, even though we already touched this topic the first day about the Supreme Court, that given the confirmation and the swearing in last night of Amy Barret as the next Supreme Court justice, that we might visit that again, just partly just because I could feel it energetically in the nation. And I just wanted to invite everyone to just sort of tune in. You know, what you'll find over time is like after elections, you can really feel a shift in the energy of the nation. And I expect that'll happen very much in spades this time. But just take a moment and let's ask ourselves the question, what does this mean? We now have a 6-3 conservative majority in the Supreme Court. Now, not all justices adjudicate based on their values on every case. So, Justice Roberts, the Chief Justice, flips back and forth, even though he's called a conservative. And I just have to pull out this quote from our dear Artemis Laurie. She wrote, and it said something like, how does she feel about this? She feels like a ballsy old crone, Elizabeth Bader Ginsburg, a ballsy old crone has been replaced by a patriarch wearing a plaid dress. Really strong energy with that phrasing. And I'm sure half, maybe even slightly more than half the country feels exactly that way. But on the other side of the country, I'm sure there's this huge wave of relief that says, well, at least part of this government is going to protect the traditional values of America. And of course, everyone can argue both of those statements, both sides back and forth, but what happens in your own energy is the question here. And what happens to the country? Does abortion get redefined as unconstitutional? A lot of energy on that one. What happens with the next election? If there's a contested election, just check your energy. I'm just stirring the pot. And with that, let's move into our morning's meditation. So let's sit up straight. Maybe pull the shoulders around, put them back, and let them relax. We want to allow our spine to become as erect as is comfortable, to be an energetic antenna, sort of the axis of the earth. We become aligned with that as we straighten our spine. And just noticing our state before we start. Let's just put our hands over our heart. and begin this process of waking up our heart and moving into our hearts. And just notice what happens when we direct this energy back into our heart. And now let's welcome our conscious awareness of our breath. Means we just start paying attention. Start paying attention to our breathing. Not changing anything. And now let's move into the full breath. Full inhale, full exhale. Traditionally, we start with the exhale. Pulling the abdominal muscles all the way back towards our spine. And just continue. And again, notice what happens when we flush our system with this life force, the full breath. And also notice what happens when I stop explaining so much. How to do it, what to do it, when to do it. What happens to your experience with that? My sense is that at this point, the beginners, especially for this first segment, have a pretty strong idea of what we're doing. So now let's move on into our traditional formal heart rhythm meditation, where we connect the rhythm of our heart, our heartbeat, with the rhythm of our breathing. Traditionally, 8 heartbeats in, 8 heartbeats on the exhale. Of course, you can feel your pulse in your wrist if you can't feel it inside, or simply count. Perfectly acceptable. As always, welcome the name of your heartbeat and move into heart breathing, where we just breathe the energy that comes with the airflow directly into our hearts. Just as a quick review, as we breathe in and out of our heart from the front, this is that forward dimension. So vital that our heart energy be engaged in our work and our career, whether it's a job in the business world or teaching or whatever, or whether it's our job in the home. real power comes from our heart. We want everything we do to be our labor of love. Even if we're an academic, using our head all the time, we can allow that to be a labor of love. And now let's move to the backward dimension of the heart. And inhale from the back, 8 heartbeats. Exhale to the back. If you want, then it's easy. Slip into the swinging breath, going from the back to the front. But we do this right now just to awaken this dimension at the back of our heart, this very sensitive region of our heart. Quite capable of picking up the vibration of the divine beings. And now let's move to the width of our heart, the left and the right dimensions of our heart. And let's inhale all this energy directly into our heart from as far off to the horizon as we can on the left side. And then 8 heartbeats or whatever it is for you, off to the right, receptive side to the giving side. And again, inhale from the left. Exhale to the right. I want to be very aware of these qualities. The receptivity of the left, sensing the receiving, the honoring, the accepting. Off to the right, the giving. These 2 directions can curve around in front of us into a big circle. Often have circle meditations. We invite everyone in. We have a circle of hearts together. We create that every time we go into our hearts together, this network of our own hearts. Now let's explore, just remind ourselves of the depth of our heart. Exhaling from our heart down, down. And inhaling back up, deep inside the earth. Perhaps even all the way to the far reaches of the galaxy below us. Inhaling up into our hearts. Hearts filled up with the depth of compassion. And exhale. Bring it up to the highest heavens. And then we inhale, pulling this very celestial energy the height of our heart, into our heart. There, I guess we're just going up and down this vertical dimension, down to one end of the universe, or just as far as you can go. It's perfectly okay. Inhale back up into our hearts. Exhale, lifting the height of our heart to the farthest celestial realms, or just as far as it goes. A few inches is perfect. And back down into our heart. Just sort of a little refresher from last week. But notice what it does to our energetic bodies. How expanded do you feel? And we'll go into our inner dimension of the heart after we do the square breath a bit. For some reason, we're doing a review this morning. Must be perfect. So, the square breath, we're going to inhale. I'll say the count of 8 heartbeats. Hold for 16. And exhale for 8. Holding for twice as long as the inhale and the exhale. And just use whatever pattern is comfortable for you. And if you have issues with your heart, arrhythmia, whatever, just stay with this, with basic heart rhythm meditation. It'll just be perfect. So just begin. Inhale at your own count. Hold for twice as long. Exhale the same amount as the inhale. And just a reminder, you probably only want to inhale to about 75–80%. It's easier to hold your breath. And most important, we never struggle with holding the breath. This is more about rhythm than it is about how long you can hold your breath. Get your rhythm at 6-12-6. It's a perfect rhythm. Over time, but only when you're ready for it, you could allow it to move to 8-16-8, 10-20-10. It just happens easily. We're culturing, we're not forcing. We're developing. We're not trying to conform to an idea. Back to the square breath. And just finish up the last round that you're on. And just notice your experience after the square breath. How do you feel? How strong? How clear? How much power do you feel? How ready are you to unfold the deep desires of your heart? And I'm just going to repeat one more time. The real value there is in the rhythm. The spiritual value is in the rhythm of this breath. There is definitely some health value to being able to hold the breath longer, but only if it's effortless. Only if it's effortless. So now that we've just done this very powerful square breath, I invite you to look deep inside. Explore and find the inner dimension of your heart. I suggest you move down into somewhere between your heart and your solar plexus. And you may just notice a space that opens up. It's the same space we experience when we go way, way out. And don't mind if it doesn't show up so easily. It's actually a very advanced experience. But by now, we've all been doing very deep work. We wouldn't be drawn here if this possibility of going very, very deep is not lively within you. Whatever you experience is perfect. Just some flavor of it is all we're looking for. Sometimes we just go in there and we move into this interior vastness. Sometimes we just get a flavor of it. It's okay. By now in our culture, we've heard the term transcending, meaning go beyond. And usually it's in the context of transcending our minds. In the teachings out of India, we transcend our mind and we go to this samadhi state of eternal bliss consciousness, Sat Chit Ananda. And that's perfect. Believe me, it's perfect. What starts to happen here, and I just throw this out as an invitation to be open to it, is as we go into this inner dimension of the heart, what we're really doing is transcending through our heart. And I'll just tell you my experience of it. Coming from a Vedic path of transcending the mind for decades, having very clear experiences of this eternal bliss consciousness, is that eternal bliss and consciousness are just divine qualities of the heart, fabulous qualities. But when I started transcending through my heart and experiencing this inner dimension of the heart so clearly, it was more like eternal love. Than eternal bliss consciousness. Eternal and love are also just qualities of the heart, of this universal heart. And just play with it. It's okay to lead with your imagination. What's inside of our heart? And however deep we go is perfect. Perfect. I'll tell you the other distinction I felt was eternal bliss consciousness was almost cold and sterile in its quality. There's just nothing going on. Eternal love had a warmer quality to it. More like a womb. It's very interesting. And the invitation here is for you to experience these states through your own heart, through your own nervous system. We each have a unique expression of the one fire, of the one ocean. But now that we've mentioned the word fire, and I use that intentionally, let's go into an exploration of this fire element. See how we can use it in our own purification and the purification of our world. So the fire breath focuses on the solar plexus. Solar meaning sun, fire. And what we do is we inhale through open lips into our solar plexus. We let the fire build up a second. We sort of hold the breath there shortly. Then we let the light rise and exhale out through our nostrils with the energy coming out of our hearts. This is the opposite of the water breath, where we inhale through our nose and exhale through our lips. Here we inhale through our lips, slightly open lips, almost like it's a burst into our solar plexus, and then hold it. I don't know, maybe count of 10, whatever's comfortable. There's not like a magic formula here. You can do the square breath if you want. Then let the light rise into the heart. Exhale through our nose. And you may start to notice a fiery orange, like burning coals, ember, deep orange flame there in the solar plexus. Let the light rise and go out through the heart. Inhale through the open lips. Hold. Exhale through the nose. The light moving up and coming out of our heart. Just be with us for a while. This fire element goes by many names in the various mystical traditions of the world. The Western metaphysical schools refer to the fire element as a Prince-O-Ramesis, Diana, the fiery salamanders, like the flames of the fire resemble a salamander. In India, the Vedic tradition is called Agni, fire, great being of fire and fire itself. The very first word of the Rig Veda is Agni, fire. And what it means is, or what happens is, this great Vedic tradition really is based on the fire element and the air element. All these fire yagyas, the fire sacrifices, fire ceremonies. And of course, the chanting is air. And that's perfect. It's a fabulous tradition. But we tend to think, because, India has this great, incredible reputation of spirituality, well deserved. But other traditions of the world focus more on other elements. The shamanistic tradition, very earth and water centered. Taoist tradition, very earth. They have a lot of water and fire also. And the cultures just spiritually evolved differently. Sufism, we tend to use all the elements. And we borrow that from Sufism in our school here. Very much so. Use all of them. Inhaling, holding, exhaling. Just check your experience. When I do the hold, of course, I'm not holding as I'm speaking. My experience is I start to get very hot. Fire really builds up. I actually start to sweat. But more important is what's your experience? And whatever it is will build over time. Now, what do we do with fire? It's very interesting. You know, earth purifies by composting. It patiently absorbs impurities, energy that has been tarnished or distorted. And just holds it until it just shifts, however long it takes. With water, the flow of love just washes away the impurities in our system, in our minds, in our hearts, in our bodies. Fire, of course, burns. There's a saying, of course, this is again the Vedic tradition. We roast the seeds of karma, the fire of knowledge. We roast the seeds of action, purify those patterns of energy within us that would draw us into action. It's not life supporting. So could we pull in this fire and simply allow it to burn up any habits we have? Roast the habits that are not life supporting for us. The fire energy, of course, heat rises, so the energy is upward. Water is down, earth is spreading. We inhale, we move the energy up even just a little to honor that upward movement. The light comes out of the heart. It's a powerful way of connecting our solar plexus with our hearts. And we call them two chakras, but really, the solar plexus is just the depth of the heart. Both of my children are devotees of this Indian guru named Amma, the hugging saint, sometimes known as. Very loving woman, very heart-centered woman. My son was asking me about the various chakras we use in the I Am Heart. And he asked about that relationship. I said that, we consider the the heart to be the depth, the solar plexus to be the depth of our hearts. And I said, what does Amachi say about that relationship? And she said, oh, she says that the heart is the surface of the solar plexus. Nice validation there, isn't it? Just check to see what is there in your life that you would offer to the flame of truth. Truth is one of the great qualities of fire. Justice is another. You feel injustice. You feel the fire rising. How perfect we're doing the fire breath as we have sworn in a new justice to our Supreme Court. Could we, with this fire breath, pull the Supreme Court into our heart, into our solar plexus, or perhaps just in front of us, all 9 of these justices, and allow this flame of truth, this flame of justice, to permeate each one of them. Could we welcome up our resistance, if we have any, our not liking what has happened with the Supreme Court, and just let this deep fire of truth and justice, of light, there's great sharpness to it, great penetrating power. Whatever our feeling is about this, could we envelop it in this flame of truth and justice, and let our own reactions dissolve? And can we pull up the energy of our country that cries out for justice, that cries out for truth, and enliven this cry of the heart of America? Could we allow ourselves to become pillars of fire? A lot of energy there for me. Can we become pillars of fire as we walk through our life? Pillars of truth, pillars of justice. And check to see if there's some disbelief there. It's okay. I found it creeping up in me. That's why I said that. Some disbelief we sustain this status as a pillar of truth, a pillar of fire. Check to see if you have some fear of being too sharp, too hot, too abrasive as a being of fire. And could you love that about yourself? That you care. And check to see if there is some wanting approval from other people. It's a very natural desire. And we want that desire until it starts to run our life. Until we start to shut down because we want love and approval from others. So could we let this fire rise up brightly within us, this fire of truth and justice, this fire that fuels our mission in life? Can we honor and love this fire more than we want the love and approval of other people who deep down want to walk with the same fire themselves? Is it okay with us if by our very nature as being fire beings, we let them discover that truth within themselves? That anyone who would diminish our own fire deep down wants to express the same fire themselves. And can we love them for having that deep desire? Can we honor them? And can we honor the deep wisdom of our heart that lets us clothe the naked truth with whatever is necessary for our friends and family and countrymen to be able to receive it? We are this truth, we are this light, we are this fire. And yet, if we terrify those around us with who we are, what does that gain us? The solution is not to diminish who we are, but to present to those in our worldwide family, present the truth in the way they can receive it. The sweet truth, the loving truth. Come back into our hearts as beings of fire. This is a powerful place to be. Just notice your experience here. Pure, unalloyed truth. Pure truth. And can we welcome that truth into our hearts and allow ourselves to resonate this truth 24/7? How does it feel to be a fire being? Just anchor this memory into your system that we can draw it up at will when it's needed. Fire. And let's take this as a time to end this meditation. Come back to your heartbeat if you've lost it. To your feet on the ground. That we may be totally grounded. As we walk through our day, through our morning, lunch, afternoon, dinner, evening, sleep. Just take that stroll right now. May we bring the blessing of fire, of truth and justice to everyone we meet today. And then just open your eyes when you're ready. So that ends our formal class. Thank you very much for joining us. And if anyone needs to leave, of course, we understand. So we move into this optional second portion where we invite anyone who is still stirred up or who has a gain or has some private issue that, in their life they need to work with. We invite you to take advantage of the collective power of our heart to help you work through these energies.
Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Bakhtiar. How are you?
I'm good, but I gotta say, I'm still a little bit stirred up. Incidentally, just prior to coming into this morning's meditation, I came across an article that's very, relevant to the whole Judge Amy Barret thing, which had to do with the Supreme Court just voted yesterday on Wisconsin, saying that they're not allowed to accept any ballots beyond election day. They're not allowed to count any ballots beyond election day. And it just so happens that Justice Kavanaugh, totally on his own, without any prompting, added that he believed that all states should end voting on election day because of the suspicion of fraud and the impropriety that will ensue. So that really, and now we have another.
Yes.
And Trump immediately tweeted, okay, no votes on counted after election day. And my God, Stephen, that was.
So good. Thank you for bringing this up, Bakhtiar. Thank you. So I'm inviting everyone to join Bakhtiar. Whatever issue about voter fraud or just fairness of elections, people's voices being able to be heard. Bakhtiar, what's the feeling that comes up for you?
Well, I noticed that as I was speaking to you, I felt an immediate tightening around my chest and
Good. So
a sense of heat.
perfect. Perfect. So everyone check to see, and I actually haven't done it this much in this course so far. Check to see what you're feeling and where you're feeling it. Usually, every feeling we have has some sort of sensation connected to it, most often in the torso, but it could be anywhere. Some people only feel it in the field, and that's fine. It's 5-10% of the population, in my experience. So, Bakhtiar, can you feel that tightening and constriction some more in your chest? Can you welcome it
Yes,
up? Yeah.
yes,
Can you allow it to get really strong?
yeah,
All the outrage, all the fear, let it come forth. Welcome it up. We are not here to suppress any energy, we're here to transform it. So let me ask you a question, Bakhtiar. Is there some divine quality that you would like to be dominant in our elections, in our voting process? I mean, I'm thinking justice, but whatever it is for you,
no, it's definitely not justice.
justice and fairness. How about that?
No, it's definitely not justice.
Oh, not justice. Sorry.
No, definitely not. That's not what I'm seeing.
What would you like to see is the question.
Well, the word that came up for me was a trust.
Trust. Good.
Trust.
We'll go with trust
Trust
then.
in a higher order that we cannot even imagine.
So trust, we'll just say trust and higher order or divine order, one of the two, something like that. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So all this vibration, this sensation in your chest, does it work for you to invite it to move into your heart? Some people that works well, some people it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So everyone else, if you can, whatever that sensation is, or even if it's just your field, invite that energy to move into your heart and allow the divine quality of trust and divine and order to expand in your heart. Our hearts are these amazing transformational machines, organs. They live to transform energy. It's what they do. Would it be okay with you, Bakhtiar, if all this fear and distrust and frustration and hatred and judgment, whatever is there, moved into your heart, and your heart gently begins to shift that into trust, trust in divine order. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Yes. And everyone else, if that process isn't working, let me just ask a discriminating question. Which would you prefer? Fear, distrust, or trust? Which is more likely to lead to justice? Trust or distrust? We're speaking energetically here. If we as a group, could we as a nation move into a state of trust in a higher order, a higher intelligence? How is that energy transforming now, Bakhtiar? Still going?
I'm still aware of it. It's cooling down because I was also feeling like my whole body was burning up for a while. I'm not sure if that was because we did all that fire breath before.
Yeah.
So I found just, I mean, spontaneously, I just started doing the water breath without even me thinking about it until I noticed that I was doing it.
Can you love that innocent intelligence in your body doing just what you need?
Yes.
Yes.
Out of,
Perfect. Perfect. And we all, I think everyone knows water is the antidote to too much fire. So if you're getting too hot, always do the water breath. Thank you for bringing that out, Bakhtiar. So just keep that energy going. And do you notice that you're feeling less trust or more trust right now?
more trust.
More trust. So just 2, 3 minutes, and there's a sense of more trust. Would it be okay with you if you welcome up this energy even more? Right now, it's a sensation, and just moved it into your heart and became a very trusting being in this higher order. Would that be okay? How would that feel?
That would feel good.
Yeah. And everyone else check to see how would it feel if you moved into a state of trust in this higher order. How would it feel if you walked? You wake up in the morning filled with trust. You walk through your day with trust. You went to sleep with trust. You get a sense of what a different world you would live in. Could you allow even more trust in your life? And check to see if you have some fear about trusting. If I trust, they'll take advantage of me. If I trust, the evil people will walk all over me. If I trust, there won't be fair elections. Just pull it up and notice that we can live in trust and still use our common sense, still speak, still verify, still act, but all from a platform of trust. And check to notice if trust isn't just another word for faith. We walk by faith, not by sight. Famous saying from the Bible by Paul. We walk by trust, not by the appearances of the world. Can you just get in touch with this habit we have of wanting to trust our senses as opposed to trusting this higher order? Trusting the force of evolution. Bakhtiar, what are you feeling now?
I'm feeling more peace, but it's like I have this interesting experience that the only way I could describe it is like a split screen, where on one side there's this, very powerful trust and faith, as you put it, and on the other side is the fear and the wanting to avoid the sinking feeling that if I venture too far into that space, will overwhelm me.
Beautifully put. Everyone check to see. We all have different voices, don't we?
Yes.
Yes. So Bakhtiar, Could you love both those voices, both those screens in your life?
Yes.
Yes, you can, can't you?
Yes.
Can you see they're both equally a part of who you are?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And we don't want to be denying who we are, do we?
No.
No. We want to love and honor it. We want everything. So could you greet that part and welcome up that voice of fear and distrust?
Yes.
Yes. And do you have any judgment of that fear and distrust? Like it shouldn't be there?
No, I don't think so.
Good. Perfect. So just keep loving it. And everyone else, every negative emotion, every fear, could you just be with it and love it? It's what we're doing. This is a perfect thing for this entire class. Who do we want to be? What do our hearts want to be? Whole? I think. Do they want to be separate? Do they want to be whole? We all know. We just don't think about it. Can we embrace the wholeness of who we are? Bhaktiyar, is it okay with you if you use all this fear and distrust as fuel to be active and proactive in your life in all these areas?
Yes.
It's okay, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And can you be grateful for this fuel?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Would it be okay with you if now you have this very clear picture of who you are, that you just enjoy it and say yes and recognize that in a deep sense, you're now in unity with yourself?
Yes.
Yes. And would it be okay with you if in its own time, in its own place, you expand the sense of unity to include all the other people in your world?
Yes.
Yes. And can you go even more into this unity?
Yes.
To allow the world to be your family?
Yes.
Yes. Is any resistance to that? Or is that pretty easy to say?
Um, I don't think there's resistance. I mean, the sense of fear is still there, but that in and of itself is not resistance.
Good. So just welcome up that fear. So some fear that if you start to view the world as your family, some fear comes up. That's perfect. Can you just love that fear as a part of yourself trying to protect you, right?
Yes.
Yes. So could you love that about yourself?
I can. I can.
Good. And having heard this voice within you, is it okay to say, yes, I hear that, and it's safe to expand to where the world is my family?
Yes. I gotta say, I'm having this other experience that the fear is not just my fear, that the fear that I'm feeling is also part of the fear that
Yes,
we feel in the family.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Would it be okay with you if you're the one with the courage to welcome up that fear for the whole world family?
Yeah,
Yes, that's what you're doing now, isn't it?
it is.
Yes, we're all doing this. Every one of us, you may not recognize it yet, but as we heal our own wounds, what happens is the universe says, oh, could you heal this universal wound? And that's what Bhaktiar just walked us through. The start. And at first it comes in as a faint trickle. And as our capacity expands, it comes in as a stream and a river and a flood. And always we can handle it. So is it okay if the world steps into this sense of we're all in this together?
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Definitely, that's okay, isn't it? And
Yeah.
notice that as we give voice to that permission, it becomes more possible. It's who we are. In just a little tiny way, it starts to become more possible. All right, Bhaktiar, this is a very great deep work you just did. Is there anywhere else we need to go?
Um, well, I do feel that if that we're all in this together statement that you made
Yes,
is the antidote to where we are.
yes, yes. That's it exactly. And we have to hold that at the very depth of our heart for it to have any power. You know, if
Yeah.
it's just an intellectual thing, it has no power. But at the depth of our heart, we have this huge impact in our collective heart. It's really big. Thank you very much, Bhaktiar.
Thank you, Stephen.
Very much.
Very grateful.
Anyone else? Again or something? Yes, Laura. Good morning.
I'm on the similar thread. I have a lot of anxiety being really welling up, and I realized I had a lot of trauma. I had a lot of life-threatening trauma as a very young child in my family, so it's hard to tap into that sense of trust.
Yes.
And my neighbors where I live in an interesting mix where my neighbors are shooting automatic weapons pretty frequently.
Mm.
And just for fun. But there's, they talk of civil war. And so I find myself having anxiety, like, well, about the election and, well, what are their targets? I mean, are they,
Right.
there's such an uncertainty. And that's a trigger in my childhood, that people who also could be loving and I could feel a connection with could try to kill me also. Like, so I'm getting
Yes.
a lot of trigger of really deep sense of fear for my life.
Yes.
And I can get, try to practice meditation. I can, I'm trying to find where the roots are to safety.
So, Laurel,
Mm-hmm.
thank you very much for bringing this up. We can all really feel it in you.
Strong.
Yeah, really strong, very tender. You have a very delicate style. We just love you, okay? Really. So, would it be okay to explore some of this with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, one of the ways of dealing with, early childhood trauma is whenever things get intense, just open your eyes and look around the room. Okay? What it does is, let's just take a second now and look around. And I invite everyone to do that. What it does is it orients you to where you are, and it gives you a sense of, oh, I'm in a safe space right now. Does that make sense? Yeah. So with that, can you welcome up this sense of anxiety that you are clearly feeling right now, or you were a minute ago? Okay. And how do you feel about that anxiety? Wish it wasn't there?
Yeah, it's impairing. It's actually, in the last 24 hours, it's started to really impair my ability to work.
Yes. Yes. So this,
It's like I tipped over. I was doing all right, and then I like tipped over the edge.
and I'm willing to bet there are certainly several millions of people in the country right now who are feeling the exact same kind of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a strong segment that has this sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and something like a swearing in, which most people looks like, yeah, okay, it's that. But for those who have that sensitivity, it's a big deal because you feel all the possibilities. Okay, would it be okay with you to focus on where you are right now, and that right now you are actually safe? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're with a group of people. I assure you have deep tenderness for you right now, just from the way you speak. Who are all wanting to support you, and that right this very moment you're actually safe. Could you allow in this moment, we're not worrying about tomorrow, could you allow yourself to feel safe?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And how does that feel? Is that that's a warm, safe feeling for you? Or just still thin, barely feeling it?
A little bit thin.
Yes, I get you. So
I realized I was always safe. Like somehow I always survived.
yes, yes. So that deep certainty that somehow you've always survived.
Mm-hmm.
So could you build on that a little bit? Could you allow that to be, a deep truth of your life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's always there. And could you allow that to expand and get really strong?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So do you notice that you have authority over your feelings here?
Mm-hmm.
You allowed yourself to focus on being safe in the moment, and you felt that. And then you allowed yourself to get that sense of always surviving and let that get stronger. Can you just recognize that you actually have a lot going for you in terms of energy management?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would it be okay with you if that becomes even stronger in your life?
Yeah.
Yes. Stronger. And, we've gone through the earth breath, the water breath, the fire breath. Can I suggest to you moving into the earth breath right now?
Mm-hmm.
And just connecting to the earth, inhaling that energy back up into you. And everyone just join in that, just to support her if you don't mind. Move into the earth breath, inhale in through the nose, out through the nose, deep into the earth. Pull that energy up. It's almost like we're bringing up earth around us and it's spreading out, and we're like our heads sticking out of a mountain. So is it okay with you, Laurel, if this quality of stability becomes stronger in you?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that's okay, isn't it? And the earth breath does that for us. And just allow that quality of stability and strength. There's great strength in the earth breath. Be okay with you if you become stronger.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, these are all qualities of the heart. Would it be okay with you if I invite in another quality here? And that sort of ties into trust, and that is protection. Would it be okay with you if you open up to this divine quality of protection?
Yeah.
In the Christian tradition, this is Archangel Michael, the protector of the woman and her seed and her child. Yavakil in the Sufi tradition. Subramanyam in the Vedic tradition. Okay, whatever one rings for you. Would it be okay with you if, with your great sensitivity, that you align to this value of protection?
Yeah.
Yes. And do you notice that when you are protected, it's safer to trust?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Would it be okay with you if you just kept allowing all of these qualities to become richer and stronger in your life? Yes. Do you have any resistance to that? Any disbelief? Anything like that? I don't sense it in you, by the way. Just asking.
I have resistance to trusting people.
Yes. Yes. I get that. And so let's work with that one, okay? Because you're clearly on the big vibrational level.
Mm-hmm.
You're very sensitive, and you can attune to these beings and feel them,
Mm-hmm.
and you know they're there. And yet there's a sense that on the very practical physical level, it's not quite working right. You don't trust us.
Yes, strength could be, in my past, being strong could make me a target.
Yes.
So I had more survival by hiding or,
Yes.
disappearing. So
Yes.
when I try to call up strength, it's a little bit, it feels dangerous.
Good. So let's play with that feeling, dangerous feeling, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a feeling, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you've worked with feelings before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would it be okay with you if you welcomed up that feeling of that it's dangerous to be strong? And could you just be with it? Can you honor it? This was a strategy that was perfect for when you were younger, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And could you have gratitude for it? Really useful, wasn't it?
Very useful.
Very useful. And could you just be at peace with it?
Yeah. It feels
Would it be
sad.
sad? Yeah. Could you welcome up that sadness?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Just sadness isn't so bad, is it?
Mm. Just to really feel really tender. That was.
Yeah. Can you feel that tenderness? Yes. Just be with it. And usually part of the sadness is it's a recognition that it's a time of transition for a person. That something that used to work well has been part of me. You're sensing it's time to let it go. Yeah. And could you love all of this even if we let it go?
Yeah.
How good, how useful it was. It's sort of like, how fabulous it was to have a security blanket when we're young or something like that. It's really useful.
Mm.
Okay. Could you just love it with it? Sadness, this tenderness. And are you always free to pull it back up again?
Yeah.
You are, aren't you? You can always keep in your tool chest.
Mm-hmm.
But would it be okay with you to develop another tool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that would be strength and trust. Is that okay to develop that?
Yeah.
Good. So imagine you start trusting people and they betray you.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel?
Expected.
Yes. Did. And can we expect people to be imperfect?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. And have we ever violated anyone's trust ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And does everyone just deal with it and move on?
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah, more or less.
We just do this and this and this. So let me ask you a question. Imagine trusting people. When you go to that place, and I invite everyone to do this, imagine trusting people. How does that feel when you're living in trust? Does that feel weak or does that feel strong?
Feel strong.
Feel strong. It's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be okay with you, and for everyone else, I ask this, if we lived in trust just because it felt good and powerful. And then people either honor our trust or they don't. But either way, we're living in this place of strength and trust. Can you feel that, Laurel?
Yeah.
The truth is we can live in fear and mistrust, and people are still going to either going to perform or not, right? Can we allow this to be an exercise in managing our own energy? Managing our own divine qualities. Would that be okay with you? Yeah, I get that. I get that. Okay. Would it be okay with you if that became more and more dominant in your life? Yeah. And so suddenly we're walking along with, oh, I am a trusting person. How does that feel?
Feels good.
Okay. Feels good to me the way you said that, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a spot to finish this, if that's okay with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Do you see where you walked us, Laurel? We all walked into being more trusting and more powerful. Does that make you a weak person or a powerful person?
Powerful.
Powerful. Wow. I like that. All right. Thank you very much, Laurel. Thank you very, very much. My friends, thank you for staying. I know we ran a little late, but very moving. God bless us all, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Stephen.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Much love to you.
Thank you, Stephen.